Welcome, everybody, and thank you for taking the time to view our Miracle League presentation work. If you remember, we brought a presentation to the school board back in June of 2024. Obviously, I know we have quite a few new board members, so we'll go into detail, very similar to this presentation that was presented last June, and then give an update on kind of where we're at within our work for the Miracle League project. Last June, when we came to the board, we were asked to go back and work with the civil engineer. At that time, it was Point of Be, or we hadn't had a civil engineer that we were working with. Currently, we're working with Point of Beginnings, but we were asked to bring some updated renderings of the project, a better cost estimate, and then an MOU with the Miracle League of Dane County. Like I said, since then, we have started to work with Point of Beginnings. Point of Beginnings has done quite a bit of work as a civil engineer within the Sun Prairie School District with our athletic fields that you see around the school district. And lucky for us, they've been willing to work with us at no cost to get, like I said, the renderings and our cost estimates to us. The team is made up of parent and community representatives, school district employees, as well as you can see we have an employee from the Bank of Sun Prairie, two adaptive sports and physical education teachers, and then obviously then a board representative and then a city representative as well too. So why Sun Prairie? Sun Prairie has a rich commitment, community commitment, on prioritizing meaningful extracurricular opportunities for our students with disabilities. We can talk about the Penguin Project, which runs through the community theater as a performing arts opportunity for our students, as well as Sun Prairie School District was the first school district in Dane County to implement a adaptive sports league, which is a competitive high school athletic opportunity for our students with disabilities. And then we would also like to construct and maintain, another opportunity for these students, which would involve the Miracle League field. Currently, there is one Miracle League field over in Bakken Park in Cottage Grove. We are looking to fundraise and construct a second field. The why on a second field would be it's another location. As they continue to see the participation numbers grow at the Miracle League of Dane County at their one field, there's a need at this point for another opportunity for another field to help increase and maintain this participation. So this slide is just a kind of an athletes in action slide, of some pictures from the Miracle League field. Like I said, over in Bakken Park. And I know I said this last year, if you've never had the opportunity, it would be well worth your time and experience to get over to, a game over at Bakken Park this summer. So mission and vision, the Miracle League slogan is every child deserves a chance to play baseball. Our mission is to provide a second field so more opportunities can happen for these children. So when you look at what we'd call our vision, any child who wants to participate in the Miracle League does have that opportunity. We don't want to see it get to a point where numbers would restrict participation. This also is an opportunity for students connecting with their peers and with their community, and students and staff supporting the athletes who are participating and creating these lifelong friendships along the way. So some numbers here, these are Dane County numbers. So kind of pulled some of the different schools in Dane County and their total enrollment, and then that second line would be the students without disabilities. And then that next line would be students with disabilities. And then what is the percentage of that school district that has students with disabilities? And just kind of shows you the amount of students that you are truly impacting through these opportunities. So the school district use, while the field is not being used by the Miracle League of Dane County, it would be used exclusively for our adaptive sports league, so looking at soccer and wiffle ball, and also being used by our adapted physical education classes that we offer at both high schools or throughout the school district. Due to the specialized nature of this facility, this field would not be rented out to outside user groups, whether it's t-ball, baseball, or softball games. And that's simply just due to the specialized nature of the facility. So one of the big pieces that came up last time when we brought this presentation forward was the potential locations and then what we used as the site selection rubric when looking at them. So you can see on your screen here that we are still bringing forward as the recommendation the 160 South Street, which is adjacent to the Bank of Sun Prairie Field, Bank of Sun Prairie Stadium at Ashley Field. Um, Other areas that were looked at and assessed throughout this time was Patrick Marsh. So in front of Patrick Marsh, where you have quite a bit of green space there. East High School to the south, kind of the farm field side over there. Hilltop Field C. So if you're looking behind the Hilltop in Central Heights, it's not the one inside the track. It's not the one next to it. It's the one that's closer to what we call Field D, the JV2 baseball field out there. Then we also looked at Meadowview, to the west of Meadowview, where currently there is a smaller softball, baseball diamond, and then a smaller soccer field out there. And then we did look to the west of Northside. And when we looked at each one of those, and you can look at the rubric as well too, some factors that we're considering throughout that time was accessibility, parking availability, visibility, potential restrictions on future uses, conflicts with existing uses, and then the overall economic impact that it could have at each one of those locations. Like I said, you can dig a little bit more in depth into each one of those and those locations. But the one that we are bringing forward is that recommended location would be the 160 South Street, which is the old PPA site. So the fun part here, or what I would consider the fun part, and I apologize there, the bells here at Sun Prairie West are loud. So I apologize that we'll probably have another bell here in about 4 minutes. So I will speak, and then obviously we'll have that coming up. So I apologize for the bells. So this is the aerial view if you're looking at the field. Obviously, everything looks flat. It is not flat. We'll get into that a little bit more as we're talking about the playground. But at the top of your screen would be where the Bank of Sun Prairie Stadium is. To the left, if you're looking at the picture, would be Hilltop, and to the right, and I keep moving my head with that, so sorry, would be Main Street. And then South Street would be towards the bottom. So you could see from the aerial view, you would have the all-inclusive playground, which we'll break down a little bit more here in a minute. Then the Miracle League field itself, and then you have the emergency lane, and then to the right of the emergency lane is our fitness area that we had them include as well too. Sorry, I jumped one there. This would be the view from Main Street. So if you're looking at it from Main Street, you'd have the fitness area that has different equipment. Then obviously the Miracle League field itself, and then the playground area. This is from Hilltop. Hilltop gives you a kind of a better view of the playground itself. It would actually be built into the hill, and we have made this playground to be where you could start at the top and you can access it all the way through into the bottom. And it does have different varying ages of equipment. So then down from there, then you have the Miracle League field in the fitness area, which would be on the top of your picture here. Site rendering from the entrance looking northeast. So you'd have an entrance for the playground itself where that archway is, and then the path, the walkway where you have the Miracle League logo with the welcome would be your way down to the field. So phase one. So this whole construction process is broken down into 3 phases, and we're going to go through these 3 phases right now. So phase one would include the Miracle League field and the site grading. When I say site grading, what that means is the site demolition, site utilities, electrical, earthwork, plaza, and walkways. So these 3 pictures there, to the left, you have the field itself, plus the stands, the dugouts, and then the seating area. And that also does include, and it's at the bottom part of the far left picture, would be restrooms, concessions, and then some garage areas for all the equipment and everything. So that would be included in that piece. The middle picture is kind of just the seating area with the canopies. And then and then another picture of the field. I know there's part of the playground that's caught in that picture, but that would not be included in design and the layout of phase one. So when we're looking at the cost estimate in the link in there, if you click on the link, that'll take you to all three cost estimates. But the phase one cost is just about $2.9 million. Phase two would be design and layout of the playground itself. So like I said, the playground itself would be built into the hill, and we have it designed that way as kind of a fun feature of being able to start at the top of the hill and obviously work your way to the bottom of the hill and all the different components that you would have along the way. Also, part of phase two would include minor costs for site demolition, earthwork, and walkways as well too, that were not part of design phase one. The cost breakdown for phase two would be right about $1.2 million. And like I said, you can go in and click on those cost estimate breakdowns, and that'll show you each area and like breaking down specifically what's in each area. And like anyone would say, these are truly estimates, that we have at this point. And then phase three would be design layout of the fitness area. And you can kind of see what that would look like. That's, like I said, on the opposite side of the emergency lane. And it would have just different equipment, fitness equipment, and then other equipment that would be fun, and challenging for all students. Fitness area does also include minor costs for site demolition, utilities, earthwork, and walkways as well too. So there is some of that built in under phase three of that piece as well. So then phase three would be just about $790,000. And like I said, take a peek at the cost breakdowns and you'll be able to see all those that are included. So when you look at phase one, phase two, and phase three, you're sitting just below $5 million for an entire project. Like I said, that is an estimate. The goal would be obviously phase one. Once phase one's completed, and obviously you have the finances to do phase two, then you move on to phase two, and then obviously phase three. We know that this is going to be a project that goes in phases. In a perfect world, if you had the 5 million, boom, you could get it done and have the project and have everything ready to go. But we know that's not realistic. And the probability that it happening is very low, so that's why we are going with the 3-phased approach. And I think there is opportunities along the way to work with the city. Is there opportunities, with working in a partnership with the city as well too, with any of these 3 phases. So when we're talking about the funding, the big portion is going to be fundraising and sponsorships. And there is a prospectus there. I'll allow you to click on that prospectus and take a look at that. It's like any prospectus and piece of it. It's us telling our story on the why. Why are we bringing a second Miracle League field? Showing them the numbers. And then what are the opportunities? What are our different levels of sponsorships? What are our different levels of naming rights? Naming right of the field, naming right of the dugout. So we have that all broken out in that fundraising prospectus. And if approved, we would start that process of the fundraising and sponsorships immediately to start this project and to get the ball moving forward. Second piece would be grants. There are grants out there. There are grants available, whether it's here, in Dane County, in Wisconsin, and throughout the country, of looking what are our opportunities to get grants to help this project, come to life and be real. While we as the committee are committed to leading all fundraising and sponsorship grant efforts, we would want to work directly with the executive director of the Miracle League of Dane County to be a partner in these efforts. We are not looking at the Miracle League of Dane County of somebody who needs to contribute the money for this process. Obviously, we understand that they have another field at Bakken Park, but we would like to have that partnership, and that's part of that MOU. Of the fundraising piece that would take place obviously in conjunction with our school district, and then our business office. So from our end, there is no requested financial investment from the Sun Prairie School District for the construction of the field, except for the in-kind work by the business office staff to account for the fundraised efforts. After doing some research and working with our attorneys, we feel it is best that obviously those fundraised dollars do continue to work through the school district and partnership with our business office for accounting for those fundraised dollars. So the field maintenance itself, the Sun Prairie School District would take responsibility for continuing to keep up the field of the maintenance of the Miracle League field. Once built, we would treat this field like we do all of our fields in the school district. And that would just help preserve the field, and treat our complexes, like we treat, a complex at West, a complex at the stadium, anywhere. And with that piece of it, we would lock it up for obviously the safety purposes as well too. And any major repairs or upgrades, we'd work into the capital maintenance plan within the school district and through our facilities and grounds and what our facilities and grounds director does in that area. So our request, we're looking for approval to construct the Miracle League field in conjunction with the Miracle League of Dane County at the 160 South Street, which is the old PPA site near the Bank of Sun Prairie Stadium. We are also looking for approval to enter in a formal MOU around fundraising agreement with the Miracle League of Dane County, which is linked in the presentation and is also attachment. And as we move forward, we will continue to bring back any updates to the school board to provide them with the appropriate check-ins necessary. I would highly recommend, as we went through this presentation, there are a lot of links in there to take the time to look through those links. There's a variety, whether it's the fundraising piece, whether it's the MOU, the any of them, of just getting to know those, the cost estimates, and just be able to look at those a little bit more in depth as we went through this presentation. And I'm happy to answer any questions, and I look forward to answering any questions that anybody might have at Monday night's board meeting. But once again, I appreciate you taking the time to view this presentation, and I look forward to seeing all of you on Monday. Thank you.